Hi, I'm Dr. Anthony Edwards, and I'm the instructor for use of social media in education. And today we're going to be talking about social media and learning theory. So, some of the learning activities for this week include what does social media have to do with learning, learning theories, learning styles and preferences, harnessing the power of images in social media, using social media to teach visual literacy in the 21st century classroom, how to cater your content to your audience's learning styles with rich media, and how museums can use social media to engage different types of learners. So, what does social media have to do with learning? Well, it can actually be a learning tool. It can help you learn or help students learn. It help you engage students, and but it can also be aligned with different learning styles as well as learning theory that you've gotten in your other curriculum and instruction classes. So here are a few learning theories. So, we're not necessarily going to spend a whole lot of time on these, but they are introduced in your other courses as well as a little bit in the Canvas modules. But, you've got the, behaviorists where, it's kind of using, certain types of reinforcement in order to help people learn. You also have, cognitivist, where it's like, a lot of it is thinking and beliefs and constructivists and connectivists. A lot of those have to do with constructing or learning through either current experience or previous experience and making meaning of what you're learning. Adult theory, if you are working with adults in higher education, you may be familiar with Knowles and adult learning theory and making learning relevant in terms of their need to know and how it makes sense or how it relates to their lives. And in community of inquiry, particularly if you're teaching in an online environment and creating the social presence among the classmates, the instructor presence, the relationship with the instructor and the students, and the also you have the presence with the students in the content. So, so there's basically creating that sense of level of interaction in an online class in particular. Okay, learning styles or preferences. So, there was original research saying that there were essentially 3 learning styles, and it's kind of been expanded to preferences because I think there's been over reliance on styles and saying, well, I'm visual or I'm kinesthetic or I'm auditory and I can't learn the other ways. And more research has really discovered that we have ways that we prefer to learn, but it doesn't mean that we can't learn in other ways. Okay, but we can learn in all different kinds of ways. So, and some of these that are mentioned in the module include things like logical, mathematicals, musical, auditory, social, solitary. Some people like to learn alone. So, verbal, visual, and combination of all of those. So, you're not limited to 1, 2, or 3. You could really use many of those in order. And actually, we encourage you to add as many layers because it can help you to remember things and help you make more meaning of what you're learning. All right, one of the readings deals with images, and so I'm not going to go through the whole article with you, but I just wanted to kind of give you again an overview. So things like knowing your audience is really important. So whether you're dealing with elementary students, middle school students, high school students, college students, parents, so what kind of images are going to work best with that audience? So if you're teaching, if you're teaching chemistry to elementary students and you're talking about elements and things like that, the images that you use would be different than if you're teaching a high school chemistry class where you're getting into types of chemical reactions and balancing equations and things like that. So know your audience, all right? And allow your audience to interact with you using the images, right? But be prepared if things don't go the way you intend, because sometimes people don't get it. Or the thing with social media you have to sometimes be prepared for is, what if, you ask people to post, good things and they post bad things, like how could you prevent some of that? You can't always eliminate it, but you can mitigate it. But giving people, the students sometimes, may post things because they think it's fine and then don't realize later, oh, I shouldn't have posted that. And so helping them have guardrails around what's acceptable in terms of, their language and, what types of things that are okay to post and what things are not okay to post. Because again, we're not just teaching, using social media, but we're also, in addition to teaching our content, we're teaching students how to use digital tools professionally and responsibly. Also, you don't have to just borrow images that you find online. You can create your own images. So these days, that's really easy. If you got a phone with a camera on it, you can take pictures. If you know how to use Canva or other tools, you can create images on your phone or computer. So you're not limited just to things that you find online. All right. Another resource deals with using social media to teach visual literacy in the 21st century classroom. So here, visual literacy is bigger than just social media. We're talking about how people understand information, how they communicate that information, and how they create images that link problems and solutions. Okay. All right. So you're trying to create, so if you have a prompt, for students to respond to, they're answering that question, right? So they're connecting the solution to that problem that you've posed. So if students are also having difficulty with a concept, you might provide an explanation video or a graphic of some sort that helps to solve their problem of not understanding the content. So there's different kinds of visual information, and you have traditional images, so you're just posting an image. Also, you may or may not be familiar with emojis, very common in texting, but a lot of times you have smiley faces or sad faces, crying, laughing faces, or maybe different motions of people doing running or things like that, dancing. They also have things like if you teach social studies, they usually have flags or buildings or things like that. That there's emojis for a lot of those things, and memes. And so if you're not familiar with memes, a lot of times there's you've heard the phrase "picture is worth 1,000 words," and so sometimes you have pictures that maybe there's a little bit of text on it, but it has a meaning associated with it, and so when it becomes larger than just the image itself, and it gets shared. Sometimes it can get shared a lot, but there's the article I think gives the example of the Velociraptor. It's the dinosaur who's theorizing, right? And so it kind of takes on an additional meaning, more so than just the image itself. So I guess an example with that also would be, I used to teach chemistry, and one of the things, there was the chemistry cat, and there were a series of images with this cat doing chemical equations, and those sometimes I would use those, and the students would really like that. Okay, next article deals with catering your content to the audience's learning styles. So again, learning styles or preferences. So for folks that are kinesthetic, they might prefer games or quizzes. For those who are have auditory preference, they might like ebooks or podcasts, and they might they may be also verbal and want to summarize their knowledge verbally rather than writing it down. So if they get to create a video or an audio post to explain what they've learned, they may enjoy that. Visual learners, they can see a variety of things: infographics, videos, diagrams, art, presentations, drawings, etc. Highlighted words on a slide. All those things can be helpful for visual learners. All right. So this last article deals with museums and how they can use social media. Museums are not necessarily schools, but they are places where education takes place. All right. So they are kind of out of school learning environments. All right. And in terms of the typical museum, is usually set up for kinesthetic learners. A lot, especially if there are hands-on things, and they also may be set up for visual learners if there are, maybe art displays that they can read. But you can take it a step further by incorporating things on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram that are visual for folks to see even at home, to engage them maybe before or after a museum visit. The auditory learners, might like podcasts or YouTube. I know sometimes they go to museums and they've got the auditory. You can scan a QR code and listen, to someone talk about the different exhibits. That can be helpful for auditory learners. For those that have a read-write preference, and that has kind of emerged as a new learning style or preference. Writing on Facebook, or maybe commenting on Facebook or X, or even maybe posting on a blog. The museum could have a blog and post on Medium or Blogger or WordPress, something like that, and have more long-form content that can engage patrons before or after a visit. Okay, so the assignments for this week's learning module, there's a social media learning theory class project where you'll go into a Google document and there'll be a table. You can fill in your information there in the table about learning theories and how they align with social media. And then you can also use the comment feature in Google Docs to comment on at least two of your classmates' ideas. There is a group discussion versus a review of research, and so in Canvas you'll see the questions. In your group, you can divide up the questions, or each of you can answer all the questions. It's really up to you. There'll be a weekly LinkedIn post. Again, don't use the same content from the last week. Do something new. And then there's the Module 2 verification form in Canvas. So hopefully this has been a helpful introduction or overview to what we're going to do this week. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And we'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.